Society loves order. It thrives on categories, comfort zones, and checkboxes. You're either loud or quiet, a leader or a follower, a rebel or a conformist. But then there's him, the Sigma male. He doesn't just step outside the box, he burns the blueprint and walks alone intentionally. He's not rebelling to be edgy, he's just not playing the game at all. Unlike the alpha who leads the pack or the beta who follows it, the Sigma operates independently of the hierarchy. It's not arrogance, it's autonomy. Psychologists have actually acknowledged this lesser-known archetype as someone who prioritizes freedom, introspection, and internal validation over external reward. He's not antisocial, he's just anti-bullshit. He's the man who doesn't need attention to feel important or permission to pursue his purpose. While others compete for status, he watches quietly, analyzing human behavior like a hawk circling from above. It's not detachment, it's discernment. This mindset makes him unpredictable, and unpredictability is a threat to systems built on compliance. Why? Because society runs on validation loops. Likes, follows, titles, applause. The Sigma male, he doesn't need any of it. That makes him unshakable. History has had its share of Sigmas. Think Keanu Reeves, Steve Jobs, or even Albert Einstein. Men who charted their own course, often misunderstood, even ridiculed, until the world caught up. And here's the kicker. This isn't about being better, it's about being different. Sigmas aren't trying to dominate the room, they're trying to master themselves. So if you've ever felt like you don't fit in, if you've questioned why you walk alone while everyone else seems glued together, it's not because you're lost. It's because you're built to stand apart. You're not broken, you're Sigma. And in a world screaming for attention, your silence is your superpower. Let's dive deeper into what makes Sigma males the furthest thing from normal, and why that's exactly how they like it. Point 1. Sigmas don't chase, they attract. While the rest of the world is busy screaming for attention, posting non-stop on social media, chasing trends and craving validation, Sigma males move in silence. They don't need the spotlight to feel seen. They don't chase people, opportunities, or approval. Instead, they operate with a quiet confidence that doesn't need to be announced. Why? Because Sigmas understand something most people don't. Real power doesn't have to shout. This isn't about arrogance, it's about clarity. Sigmas know their worth, and that knowledge becomes their compass. They don't beg for a seat at anyone's table because they're busy building their own. That clarity of purpose, that unshakable sense of self, makes them magnetic. People, especially women, are drawn to them, not because they put on a show, but because their silence speaks louder than words. In fact, a study published in The revealed that people who display calm confidence tend to be rated as more competent and attractive than those who are loud and boastful. A Sigma male can walk into a room, say almost nothing, and still become the most interesting person there. Why? Because humans are naturally drawn to mystery. In a world obsessed with overexposure, someone who holds back becomes irresistible. That's the silent gravity of a Sigma. He doesn't advertise himself, he doesn't need to. His energy, his vibe, his composed presence do all the talking. This is also why Sigmas often attract genuine connections. Since they don't put on masks or fake personas, what you see is what you get. People can sense that authenticity. And in a culture flooded with filters and facades, that authenticity stands out like gold. So while the noise of the world gets louder, the Sigma gets stiller and more powerful. The less he says, the more people listen. The less he chases, the more things come to him. And that's not magic, it's self-mastery. Point 2. Sigmas are lone wolves, not lonely wolves. Let's kill this myth once and for all. Being alone isn't the same as being lonely. Society often confuses the two. But for Sigma males, solitude is not a sign of emptiness. It's a badge of honor. Like warriors choosing their swords, Sigmas intentionally choose solitude as their sharpest weapon. Why? Because silence is where they recharge. In a world obsessed with noise, they find power in peace. Studies in psychology confirm that introverted individuals, particularly those who embody Sigma traits, have a nervous system that responds more intensely to stimulation. Crowded parties, buzzing conversations, and social obligations drain them fast. It's not about disliking people, it's about protecting their energy. In isolation, Sigmas grow. While others seek validation through constant interaction, Sigmas dive deep into self-reflection, strategic thinking, and creative pursuits. They're the kind who'll disappear for weeks and come back with a business plan, a book draft, or a completely reinvented version of themselves. They aren't hiding, they're building. This doesn't make them antisocial, far from it. Sigmas are social. They don't do fake friendships or forced conversations. Instead, they prefer meaningful one-on-one interactions over mindless group chatter. In fact, a study published in the journal found that people who prefer solitude often have higher emotional intelligence and a clearer sense of identity. So when a Sigma male sips coffee alone at sunrise, don't mistake it for loneliness. That quiet moment isn't empty. It's full of reflection, planning, and peace. He's not waiting for the world to notice him. He's busy designing a world of his own. In truth, solitude is their sanctuary, not their prison. It's the forge where they sharpen their minds and strengthen their resolve. And when they do step out into the world, they come armed with clarity, purpose, and an unshakable presence. Solitude doesn't mean something's missing. It means they've found something most people never will, themselves. Point 3. Sigmas reject the herd mentality. Ever seen a Sigma at a team-building exercise? Exactly, you probably haven't. And if you have, chances are he was standing off to the side, analyzing the room, quietly judging the forced smiles and overused icebreakers. Sigma males are the rare breed of lone wolves who walk their own path, not out of arrogance, but because conformity simply doesn't sit right with their soul. Unlike alpha males who thrive on leadership and social dominance, or beta males who prefer to follow and maintain harmony, Sigmas are the outsiders of the social hierarchy. They can lead if they must, brilliantly in fact, but they have zero interest in leading for the sake of power. They follow their own compass, guided more by internal values and instincts than by societal trends or external expectations. This unique mindset is rooted in what psychologists call introverted intuition. Studies suggest that individuals with this cognitive function often rely on deep internal insights rather than group consensus to make decisions. So while others chase popular movements or viral trends, Sigmas are usually 10 steps ahead, quietly building their own systems, businesses, or philosophies without fanfare. But don't mistake their independence for rebellion. Sigmas don't break the rules just to stir chaos. They question them to spark evolution. If a system doesn't make sense, they'll challenge it. If a tradition seems outdated, they'll rethink it. And if a belief is followed blindly, they'll ask why. This isn't about being difficult, it's about progress. Sigmas see the world not as something to fit into, but something to refine. And they know that real change rarely comes from the center of the crowd. It comes from the fringe, from the ones brave enough to walk alone. So no, you probably won't see a Sigma chanting company slogans at a team retreat, but you might see him later, quietly running his own company, rewriting the rules that others are still blindly following. Point 4. Sigmas are quietly calculating. You know that guy who doesn't speak much at the table, but when he does, everyone stops and listens. That's the Sigma male. He's not trying to dominate the room with volume. In fact, he thrives in silence. While everyone else is racing to speak, to post, to prove something, the Sigma is watching. He listens more than he talks, observes more than he reacts, and moves only when the timing is right. It's not shyness, it's strategy. Psychologically, this is tied to what experts call Sigma males often show signs of being a personality type linked to strategic thinking, self-sufficiency, and emotional intelligence. They don't just hear what's being said, they catch what's being said, the micro-expressions, the tone shifts, the inconsistencies. While everyone else is distracted by noise, the Sigma is 10 steps ahead, playing chess in a room full of checkers. In leadership studies, this is referred to as the ability to command attention without demanding it. And Sigma males have this in abundance. They know that silence, used correctly, is power. Ever wonder why people are drawn to someone who speaks less? It's the mystery, the restraint, the sense that when they do speak, it must be worth hearing. Even in the animal kingdom, lone wolves don't howl for attention, they act. They survive not through pack politics, but through calculated moves and self-reliance. That's the essence of Sigma energy. They're not trying to climb the social ladder, they're building their own tower, quietly, steadily. And when the moment comes to strike, they do so with precision, not noise. So the next time you're in a room and someone quiet seems to know something you don't, pay attention. That might just be the Sigma male. While the world talks, he's already figured out his next move. And make no mistake, when he finally speaks, the whole room listens for a reason. Point 5. Sigmas. Define their own success. Society says get the house, the car, and the job title. Sigma says define your own version of success. From the moment we're old enough to understand rewards, society begins programming us to chase a specific image of success. White picket fences, luxury cars, corner offices, and high-paying careers. But the Sigma male doesn't buy into that narrative. He rewrites the rules of the game entirely. For the Sigma, success isn't about shiny objects or social validation. It's about internal alignment. He doesn't measure his worth by how many zeros are in his bank account or how many people follow him on social media. Instead, he measures it by how free he feels, how purposeful his days are, and how much peace he carries when he lays his head down at night. You might find a Sigma living in a remote cabin in the forest, running a business from a laptop, and growing his own food, not because he failed to make it in the corporate world, but because he has a life that brings him clarity and calm. His lifestyle might not impress your LinkedIn network, but to him, it's wealth beyond measure. Interestingly, psychology backs this up. Studies on happiness, such as those published by Harvard's Study of Adult Development, show that long-term well-being is not closely tied to status or possessions. Rather, it's linked to autonomy, meaningful relationships, and having a sense of purpose, all things the Sigma male prioritizes. He's not anti-ambition. He simply refuses to let ambition be dictated by the crowd. If he wants a mansion, he'll earn it on his own terms. If he wants solitude, he'll seek it without apology. Society may push the narrative of more is better, but Sigma lives by less but meaningful. In a world obsessed with appearance, the Sigma male is focused on essence. His version of success isn't loud or flashy, it's quiet, powerful, and deeply intentional, and that's what makes him impossible to ignore. Point 6. Sigmas embrace mystery. People are unsettled by what they can't label. It's a psychological reflex. Our brains crave categories. We want to put people into neat little boxes: leader or follower, extrovert or introvert, dominant or submissive. But then comes the Sigma male, someone who doesn't play by the typical social script. He's not trying to fit in, nor is he trying to rebel. He simply is. And that's what throws everyone off. The Sigma male is an unreadable book with gold hidden in his pages. You won't find flashy covers or loud proclamations. What you will find is substance. Sigmas are not empty vessels. They're deep wells of thought, insight, and introspection. Their silence doesn't mean they have nothing to say. It means they're observing, calculating, listening. While others fill the air with noise, Sigmas fill their minds with knowledge. In psychology, the concept of the aura of the unknown is tied to intrigue and attraction. People are naturally drawn to what they can't fully understand. That's the Sigma edge. They don't overshare. They don't parade their opinions for validation. This leaves others guessing, and in that guessing game, curiosity takes over. The less you know about them, the more you want to know. When a Sigma withdraws, it's not rejection, it's recalibration. Just like a pilot who needs to chart a new course mid-air, the Sigma steps back to reassess his purpose, realign his values, and protect his energy. He isn't avoiding you, he's refining himself. In a world that celebrates visibility, Sigmas thrive in invisibility. Not because they're weak or afraid, but because they understand one of life's most powerful truths. The strongest moves are often made in silence, and when they finally speak or act, it's never random. It's precise, impactful, and unforgettable. So while the world may struggle to label a Sigma, those who look beyond the surface often find gold. Point 7. Sigmas are immune to peer pressure. When the crowd zigs, the Sigma zags. Trends don't sway them and opinions don't mold them. They can walk into a room full of copy-paste personalities, same speech patterns, same fashion sense, same thirst for approval, and not even blink. Why? Because the Sigma male operates on a completely different frequency. His compass is internal, it's grounded, it's unshakable. Let's break this down. The average person is, consciously or unconsciously, influenced by groupthink. Psychologists refer to this as a natural human tendency to align with the behaviors, beliefs, and preferences of the group to avoid conflict or exclusion. But Sigma males, they're neurologically wired or perhaps conditioned through life experience to challenge the herd mentality. They ask the hard questions. Why is everyone doing this? What's the point? Does this align with my values? This trait is similar to what's found in high self-monitoring individuals, except sigmas often in social environments. That means they don't adjust their behavior just to fit in. Instead, they act based on internal convictions, not external validation. You won't catch a sigma jumping on a viral trend just to rack up likes. If anything, he'll skip the trend altogether and quietly master something meaningful behind the scenes. Sigmas have what psychologists call, and this means they believe they are responsible for their own success and failures, not luck, fate, or societal expectations. It's what makes them resilient, driven, and quite frankly, intimidating to people who rely on group approval to function. This is also why sigma males are hard to categorize. They're not leaders in the traditional sense. They don't crave control, but they often end up leading by example. People follow them not because they demand it, but because they radiate certainty in a world full of noise. Educationally speaking, sigmas reflect the power of. It's the ultimate rebellion, not through loud protest, but through quiet independence. It's walking a path so authentically your own that even if the world tries to pull you into its rhythm, you keep your beat steady. So when the crowd zigs, the sigma zags, not for attention, not for rebellion's sake, but because his direction isn't borrowed, it's chosen. And that's what makes him unshakably rare in a world that's desperate to be seen but too afraid to stand alone. Point 8. Sigmas learn from the shadows. Alphas need spotlights. They crave recognition, thrive on dominance, and often measure their worth by how many eyes are on them. Their power is loud, visible, and sometimes even theatrical. But sigmas, they operate on an entirely different frequency. Sigmas thrive in the quiet corners of the world, far from the noise of crowds and applause. These are the men who don't need validation to feel valuable. Their confidence is not on display. It's internal, silent, and deeply rooted. While alphas may lead the pack in the open, sigmas observe from the shadows, patiently studying every move. They are masters of human nature. A sigma watches how people behave when they think no one is paying attention. They analyze patterns, decode hidden motives, and anticipate reactions long before they happen. This quiet vigilance gives them a strategic edge. They're not just reacting to the world, they're learning how to master it. And failure? To the sigma, it's not a setback, it's a teacher. While others collapse under the weight of mistakes, sigmas absorb the lesson. Pain becomes a textbook. Disappointment becomes data. Every fall is followed by calculated reflection. They watch others make reckless moves and take mental notes. It's not that sigmas never stumble, they just don't make the same mistake twice. In psychology, this behavior reflects a high degree of introspection and adaptability, traits linked to emotional intelligence and resilience. These are not impulsive men, they are strategic thinkers, often a step ahead of the game because they've already visualized the entire board. Over time, this silent evolution turns them into something remarkable. They rise, not with fanfare, but with quiet power. Stronger because they've embraced hardship. Smarter because they've studied chaos. Sharper because they've refined their focus where others were distracted. In a world obsessed with noise, sigmas are the signal. They prove that you don't need a stage to be powerful. You just need to understand the rules well enough to rewrite them in silence. So, while alphas chase the spotlight, sigmas become the architects of the entire arena, quietly, strategically, and always on their own terms. So, sigmas, if you've ever been called weird, distant, emotionless, too intense, too quiet, or too independent, good. That's not a flaw, it's a signal you're living on your own frequency. Psychologists define sigma males as those who reject traditional hierarchies, choosing instead to carve their own path. Unlike alpha males who seek dominance in social settings, sigmas thrive in solitude, self-reliance, and purpose. You're not here to blend in with the crowd, you're here to lead in silence. Studies even show that individuals with strong, introverted, and independent traits tend to be more self-aware and creative, contributing deeply to society in ways most people overlook. You're not built for average, you're built for impact. Sigmas are often visionaries, disruptors, and deep thinkers, the kind who question the rules and rewrite them. While others seek validation, you move in truth and purpose. The world doesn't need another clone. It needs more sigmas, people unafraid to walk alone, to challenge norms, to build legacies rather than chase trends. So own your path, trust your instincts, protect your peace. Because being the furthest thing from normal is exactly what makes you legendary. If this video spoke to you, hit like, subscribe, and join the Sigma tribe. Stay true, stay Sigma.